On June 25th, Archangel Michael spoke loudly. You keep ignoring his messages, and now he's begging you to listen before it's too late. He's crying because you always look away. June 25th marked a divine threshold in the spirit realm. A celestial gate shifted. A portal, unseen by the natural eye, opened wide in the heavens, releasing a new wave of urgency from the throne room of God. This date was not marked on your calendar, yet it was etched in fire across the scrolls of destiny. Something eternal happened on that day, not in politics, not in weather, not in news cycles, but in the atmosphere of the unseen. A cry thundered across the heavens. A sword was raised. A line was drawn. And Archangel Michael, he spoke loudly. His voice did not echo through human airwaves, but in the silence between your thoughts, in the pause between your prayers, in the stillness of your late-night awakenings. He shouted through the thunder of spiritual warfare. He cried through the delay you've been battling, and yet you turned away, not in rebellion but in weariness, not out of hatred but out of exhaustion. You looked away because you were tired of believing and never seeing. You looked away because you thought the silence meant absence. But oh, child of glory, silence is not absence. Silence is strategy. And now, the heavens are begging you. Look again. Listen harder. Come closer. This message, it's not for everyone. It's not for the skeptical, the casual, or the self-satisfied. It is for the ones who feel that strange pulling in their belly, that stirring in their chest, that sense that something greater is trying to break through. It is for the weary warrior who has fought quietly, for the one who smiles in public but wrestles alone, for the one who still believes, barely, but still. Because whether you see it or not, a war has been waged silently in your atmosphere. The delay you've been living in is not random. The isolation you feel is not accidental. It is warfare. Silent. Strategic. Surgical. There are forces contending for your voice, your faith, your promise, and your next season. You thought you were being punished, but heaven says, no, you're being preserved. And now Michael's tears, yes, his tears, are evidence of time's fragility. He's not weeping out of weakness, but out of holy grief. His tears are not salt and water, but flames and warnings. Every tear he sheds carries the weight of time running out. And if you don't respond now, you may miss the divine appointment that has your name on it. You must choose. You must choose whether to listen or to delay again. Choose whether to wake up or sleep spiritually. Choose whether to respond or repeat the same cycle. He is not just speaking now, he is pleading. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. On June 25th, Archangel Michael spoke loudly. You keep ignoring his messages, and now he's begging you to listen before it's too late. He's crying because you always look away. Do you hear it? There is a sound echoing from eternity. A cry not birthed in sorrow, but in sacred urgency. A sound that only the Spirit can discern. And as this message unfolds, may your ears be anointed to hear, may your heart be softened to respond, and may your spirit be awakened to what has long been calling out to you. For too long, the realm of angels have been knocking at the doors of humanity, and too often, the knocks have been drowned out by distraction, diluted by disappointment, or dismissed by delay. But now, the knocking has become pounding. The still whispers have become divine roars. Archangel Michael, the one who stands guard at the gates of judgment, the one who has warred over nations, prophets, and destinies, he's no longer waiting in the shadows of divine protocol. He is standing in the heavens, sword unsheathed, voice unrestrained, eyes burning with holy fire, and he is crying your name. He is not crying because he is weak. He is crying because the time is slipping. He is not pleading because heaven is losing. He is pleading because your heart is drifting. And if you don't stop and listen now, truly listen, you risk forfeiting not just a season, but a divine appointment that cannot be replicated or rescheduled. Child of light, you've heard the voice before. In the moments when you almost made that bold decision, he was there. In the hours when you were about to give up, he stood beside you. When you cried alone at midnight, when you wondered if anyone could see what you were going through, he did. Michael, the heavenly warrior, has been stationed near you for longer than you've known. His sword has struck down assignments you never saw. His wings have shielded you from snares you never felt. His hand has been the interruption between you and destruction. But now his role has shifted. Now his voice must rise. Because heaven's scroll has moved, the divine calendar has turned, and something marked with your name is hanging in the balance. You are standing at a crossroads. You think it's just another week, another month, another mundane day. But in the spirit, this is a divine threshold. And unless you choose rightly, unless you respond deeply, unless you move when you are being called, you will delay more than a blessing. You will delay the next move of God assigned through you. Yes, you. This is not a general message for the masses. This is not vague prophecy coded in poetic fluff. This is a specific assignment from the throne of heaven, directed at you. You are not listening by accident. You are not here by chance. You are not watching this by coincidence. This is a holy appointment. And Michael is not speaking softly anymore. He is not whispering through dreams or nudging gently in your sleep. No, he is shouting now. Shouting because the distractions have gotten louder. Shouting because your focus has become fragile. Shouting because the enemy has crafted a scheme so subtle that you didn't even realize you were slowly sinking. But Michael knows. He knows that your calling still breathes though buried. He knows that your mantle still drips with oil, though unused. He knows that your name is still being called in heaven's chambers, though you stopped believing it matters. He knows because he was there when God first wrote your name into the story. He was there when you were still spirit, before you had breath, before you had trauma, before you were rejected, before you were wounded. He saw the purity of your original design. And now he cries. Because you keep looking away. You keep brushing it off. You keep choosing safe instead of sacred. But today, right now, the invitation comes again. Michael is begging you to listen, not because he needs validation, but because you need liberation. He's begging because this message may be the last before something irreversible shifts. This is the hour to lift your head, to stop scrolling numbly, to stop numbing your spirit with distractions and doubt. It's time to feel again. It's time to believe again. It's time to respond again. In this invocation, let the veil be lifted. Let the fog of apathy be cleared. Let the sacred urgency take root in your chest. Breathe in, child of destiny. Breathe in the fire. Breathe in the truth. Breathe in the echo of Michael's cry. This is not a time to fear. This is not a moment to shrink. This is a moment to rise. Heaven is watching. Time is dialing. Michael is speaking. And now it is your move. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. You've wondered if God still speaks. You've questioned whether the heavens have gone silent or whether your ears have grown too dull to hear. But the truth is more piercing than you've dared to face. heaven has not stopped speaking. Heaven hath been shouting, speaking through patterns, crying through dreams, whispering in numbers, pressing in through silence. But your spirit, distracted by the noise of this world, has looked away each time, and now the signs have become louder, sharper, unmistakable. The veil has thinned. The spirit is crying out, and Archangel Michael is bearing witness to the fact that heaven's messages have been missed over and over again. You felt the tug last month, when you kept waking up between 3 and 5 in the morning without cause. That was not coincidence. That was a divine alarm clock. That was Michael drawing your spirit into the sacred hours, where heaven speaks clearest. But instead of rising to pray, you rolled over and pushed it off as just poor sleep. A missed appointment. Then came the random encounters, strangers confirming the very things you had only dared to think in secret. People who looked at you and spoke life into a dream you had buried. That was not mere kindness. That was heaven reaching for you through mortal lips. That was the voice of God cloaked in human flesh. But you brushed it off as a sweet moment and kept walking. And those repeated numbers, 111, 222, 555, 911, yes, they were real. Yes, they carried meaning. Heaven has been using every channel possible to get your attention. But distraction is a subtle destroyer, and familiarity is a brutal silencer of the miraculous. You grew used to the pattern, so you stopped pursuing the meaning. But Archangel Michael has seen the signs heaven has sent. He has watched with holy ache as you stood on the edge of revelation and then turned away. The messages have come like waves again and again. In psalms that pierced your heart. In scriptures that repeated themselves in every devotional. In sermons that felt like they were written for you. In confirmations that could only have come from the Spirit of God. Heaven has spoken, and still you ask, God, are you even listening? Michael's voice thunders in response. It is not God who is silent, it is you who has stopped listening. But here's the holy mercy of the Father. Even though the signs have been ignored, they have not stopped. They are intensifying, because the window is still open. And if you would dare to stop to breathe to listen, you would hear heaven screaming your name. Yes, screaming. Because this is no longer a time of gentle nudges. The signs are turning into sirens. The synchronicities are turning into divine setups. The delays you thought were random, they were blockades. The rotted plans you resented, they were divine detours. God has been trying to protect you from premature elevation, from toxic alignments, from counterfeit doors disguised as blessings. And Michael, the guardian, the warring angel, hath been standing in the gate, sword drawn, saying, not this way. Not yet. Not them. You thought you were forgotten, but you were actually fenced in by angels. You thought you were rejected, but you were redirected by the hand of heaven. Every closed door was a form of divine speech. Every silence was God shouting from a higher place. But now, child of promise, the signs are converging. You've been surrounded by numbers, patterns, strange shifts in your atmosphere. Relationships have suddenly ended. Hidden enemies have been exposed. People you thought you needed have vanished. And through it all, you're being tempted to call it chaos. But the Spirit says, it is alignment. Heaven is reordering the battlefield. Archangel Michael is repositioning the angels assigned to your destiny. And the final signs are being released. Don't dismiss this. Don't numb your soul with busyness or spiritual apathy. This is not another vague moment. This is the moment that determines what happens next in your divine timeline. The signs are too clear to be ignored now. Your spirit hath been feeling the shift. The warfare has intensified, not because you're failing, but because you're closer than you've ever been. Michael is crying, not out of despair, but because this is your tipping point. You are either going to awaken or retreat. You are either going to respond or repeat. You are either going to move with heaven or miss what cannot be rescheduled. And he's begging you to stop pretending like these are just coincidences. Stop brushing away the signs. Stop silencing the alarms going off in your soul. This is your now. This is your call. This is the moment where everything starts to make sense. If you dare to say yes, lift your eyes. Lift your expectation. Lift your faith. Heaven is speaking, and the signs are no longer hidden. They are everywhere. The time to respond is now. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of $10. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for exclusive content, powerful prophetic updates, and messages that align with heaven's current voice. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Type I am awakened in the comments if this speaks to you. Blessing code 1414 is now surrounding your future. You have no idea how many battles have been fought over your life. If only your eyes could open to see what has truly been happening around you, not in your natural world, but in the invisible war that rages over your mind, your family, your purpose, your future, you would fall to your knees in stunned reverence. You would weep, not from fear, but from gratitude. Because where you thought God had gone, silent angels were actually shouting. Where you thought you were abandoned, warriors were fighting. And leading the charge was Archangel Michael. You may feel bruised. You may feel forgotten. You may even feel like giving up. But heaven is sending this message to pull the veil back, to show you that all this time, Michael has been standing in the fire with you. Sword drawn, voice lifted, shield raised. He has been contending for your name, your lineage, your assignment. And he has not relented. You've been praying but not seeing results. You've been fasting, yet things still feel delayed. But that delay was not denial. It was warfare. And Michael was sent because your calling is too weighty for you to walk through unguarded. The enemy doesn't attack what is a threat. And you, yes, you, are a serious threat. That's why the attacks came so early in life. That's why the rejection happened before you even understood how to defend yourself. That's why the trauma hit so deep, the betrayals cut so sharp, and the isolation lingered so long. You've been under siege, not because you're weak, but because your destiny is dangerous. Dangerous to the enemy. Dangerous to darkness. Dangerous to generational cursing. Dangerous to principalities assigned to keep your bloodline bound. And Michael, assigned by the Lord of hosts, hath been fighting to keep the enemy from gaining legal ground. He has stood at the borders of your destiny and said no further. He has blocked that car accident that would have stolen your life. He has intercepted the attack that was aimed at your health. He has dismantled the suicidal thoughts that tried to creep in during the midnight hours. And every time you broke down, every time you whispered, "God, help me," Michael heard it like a war cry. He doesn't need a loud prayer to respond. He needs a surrendered one. And your tears have been enough to summon him. You think the battle has been yours alone. But Michael wants you to know, you have never fought alone. When the panic attacks came, he was there. When the depression threatened to choke you, he was there. When the spiritual heaviness sat on your chest like a boulder, he was there. When the temptation came to give up, walk away, settle for less, or compromise your soul, he was there. Heaven's fiercest warrior has been assigned to your case. Why? Because your promise is not ordinary. You are not average. Your existence is a disruption to demonic systems, and the warfare has been proof of that. Michael has stood in the courtroom of heaven with your name in his hand, defending you against accusations, silencing every legal claim the enemy tried to make. He has warred on your behalf when you didn't have the strength to speak. When the enemy came with ancient contracts, generational in nature, seeking to destroy you by default, Michael raised his sword and shouted, "This one is marked." Do not underestimate the power of that marking. You are marked for divine use. You are marked for breakthrough. You are marked for revival. You are marked to break what others in your bloodline bound to. But you must know this: heaven's intercession is not a substitute for your participation. Michael is fighting with you, but he will not fight without you. Your agreement is what activates the angels. Your obedience is what empowers them. And your prayer, no matter how faint, is what authorizes their movement. You must stop acting like you are powerless. You must stop speaking like a victim. You must stop entertaining the lie that says nothing is happening. Because everything is happening. Behind the scenes, beyond the veil, above your understanding. And your job is to stay in agreement with what heaven has declared, even when your senses see the opposite. The spiritual warfare has not been for your destruction. It had been for your refinement. Michael's sword has not only fought off demons, it has also cut away relationships that could not go where you're going. It has pierced lies that tried to embed themselves into your identity. It has shattered cycles you didn't even know you were repeating. Every closed door was not just God's hand, it was Michael's blade. Every time you were denied something you begged for, only to later realize it would have wrecked your life, that was angelic intercession. Michael has not left you, but now his posture is shifting again. He is still fighting, but his voice is rising. He is not only defending now, he is calling you out of fear, out of comfort, out of procrastination, out of double-mindedness. He is calling you to step into your authority, to walk in your identity, to recognize that all of heaven has been invested in your breakthrough, but you must rise to meet the moment. You are not weak. You are not forsaken. You are not defeated. You are covered. You are shielded. You are chosen. Michael had been fighting for you, and now you must stand in agreement with what heaven is still fighting for. This is your wake-up call, not to strive but to align. Type "I am covered" in the comments if you receive this truth. Blessing code 333 is now shielding your spirit. Michael is weeping, not because he is defeated, not because the armies of heaven are losing, but because the people of God, those who were called to stand, to war, to intercede, are sleeping. He weeps not from weakness but from holy sorrow. He weeps because the church, the bride of Christ, has forgotten her power. He weeps because she had been lulled to sleep by comfort, by compromise, by convenience. He weeps because the bride has traded revelation for entertainment, traded intercession for applause, and has mistaken emotional hype for spiritual depth. The altars are empty. The fire is dim. And yet she thinks she's still on fire. Michael has watched the slow drift from holy intimacy into lukewarm religion, from spiritual hunger into spiritual boredom, He has stood on the edges of sanctuary doors, watching people come and go, not as warriors or watchmen, but as spectators and consumers. He's heard sermons that tickle ears but do not pierce hearts. He's seen gatherings full of performance but void of presence. And now, he weeps. Not because the battle is lost, but because the ones with authority have left their posts. The church, the true remnant, was never meant to be passive. She was called to shake the gates of hell. She was anointed to bind and loose, to declare and dismantle, to govern the atmosphere with the keys of the kingdom. But instead of rising, many have retreated. Instead of warring, many have wandered. And heaven's cry is not just for individuals anymore. It is for the body. Michael cries because the church is fractured, divided not just by doctrine but by ego, torn not just by theology but by pride, performance, and politics. The Spirit of God has sought unity, but flesh has insisted on platform. And while heaven releases strategy, the church debates popularity. While heaven releases vision, the church competes for validation. And the Archangel, who once roared over Daniel's breakthrough, who warred over Israel's protection, now cries over the bride's forgetfulness. He remembers her purity. He remembers her boldness. He remembers when she trembled at the word, when she wept in worship, when she tarried in prayer until heaven opened. He remembers when she was a threat, but now she entertains what she once cast out. She tolerates what she once tore down. She negotiates with what she was called to drive out. And still, Michael fights. Still, he surrounds the altar. Still, he waits for the moment when the true church, the awakened, set apart, oil-bearing church, rises again. Because there is a remnant. There is a bride within the bride. There is a holy people rising, those who are done with show, done with compromise, done with playing spiritual games. Those who aren't seduced by lights and stages. Those who are hungry for glory, desperate for revival, and unafraid to weep, war, and wait until heaven invades earth again. Michael's tears carry a message: return. Return to the altar. Return to the oil. Return to the upper room. Return to the fear of the Lord. Return to first love. Return to the place where His voice alone is enough. Return to holiness. Return to the power that the early church once walked in, not just in speech but in demonstration. Heaven is not looking for bigger churches, it's looking for deeper ones. Heaven is not impressed with influence, it's waiting for obedience. Heaven is not chasing viral videos, it's listening for voices that still tremble at the word of God. Michael is not moved by hype, he is activated by holiness. The cry of the Archangel is not just for your breakthrough, it's for your bridegroom. It's for the King. It's for the church to remember that she is not here to blend in, she is here to stand out. She is not here to entertain the world, she is here to disrupt it with glory. He is not here to echo culture, she is here to release heaven. And now Michael is not just weeping. He's warning. Because the time for sleep has ended. The time for lukewarm faith is over. The time for playing church is done. The cry is going out across the earth. The pastors, the prophets, the intercessor, the worshippers, to unknown mothers praying in secret, to hidden sons rising in obscurity. The cry is reaching all of them. Return to the fire. Return to the fear. Return to the war. Michael is weeping for the church because the window is still open. But never lo. If she does not rise now, the next move of God will pass through unfamiliar doors. It will come through the unlikely, through the hungry, through the humble, Heaven will not wait on programs. It will rush through purity. Heaven will not partner with performance. It will partner with obedience. The trumpet is sounding. The cry is rising. And the question is echoing across the heavens. Will the church respond? Type "I will rise" in the comments if your spirit says yes. Blessing code 1818 is now activated over your house. You've been looking away. Not because you hate God. Not because you don't believe. But because something in you, quietly, consistently, has grown afraid of what full surrender would require. You've delayed obedience, thinking you were buying time, not realizing that time was quietly slipping through your hands like oil that can't be held, only honored. And heaven, still full of mercy, is now sounding the alarm, not to shame you, but to awaken you, because delayed obedience is still disobedient. The Spirit of the Lord hath been whispering things into your heart, instructions, shifts, conversations, sacrifices. He's been prompting you to move, to release, to confront, to step out. But each time, you hesitated. You told yourself it wasn't the right season. You told yourself you were waiting for confirmation. You told yourself you weren't ready. But deep down, you knew. You knew it was Him. You knew it wasn't just your thoughts. You knew the conviction wasn't your imagination. And still you looked away. You scrolled past the stirring. You silenced the nudge. You buried the call under layers of distraction. And in doing so, you've numbed your own spiritual senses. That numbness you feel. That disconnect. That haziness in prayer. It's not that God isn't present. It's that you haven't responded. Because heaven does not keep repeating instructions indefinitely. When you delay, you distort your own momentum. You confuse your own clarity. You grieve the very spirit you asked for guidance. And Michael, heaven's war captain, had been standing beside you, not just fighting for you, but waiting on you, waiting for you to stop running from the very thing you've been praying for. You want purpose. You want clarity. You want fire. But God says, obey the last thing I told you. What was the last thing He said? Was it to leave that relationship? Was it to launch that ministry? Was it to forgive the one who hurt you deeply? Was it to release that job, that idol, that habit, that secret sin? Was it to get still and pray more, cast more, serve more, speak less, return to a place of humility? You know the answer. You know exactly what He said. And yet, your heart has played tricks with time, assuming that God's instruction will be available forever. But hear this with holy trembling. There comes a point where grace lifts off of a delayed instruction. And when it lifts, the window doesn't close with a crash. It closes with silence. And that silence isn't peace. It's heaven stepping back and letting you taste the fruit of delay. Michael has not left your side, but even he, mighty as he is, cannot override your will. He cannot force obedience. He cannot make you respond. And so he cries, not because you're lost, but because you keep looking away from the path that leads to everything you were born for. You've been begging God for the next step, and He's been waiting on you to complete the last one. He will not shout above your distractions forever. He will not compete with your comforts. He's king, not entertainer. And yet, in mercy, He comes again. Even now. One more time. Not with wrath, not with condemnation, but with a fire in His eyes and a sword in His mouth, saying, move now, obey now, return now, listen now. You don't have forever. You don't have endless time. You don't have the luxury of delay. What if everything you've been crying out for, the healing, the breakthrough, the clarity, the opportunity, is waiting on the other side of the yes you've been withholding? God cannot bless the version of you that refuses to obey. He does not anoint rebellion. He does not multiply hesitation. He does not accelerate stagnation. He moves in alignment. He breathes on obedience. He opens doors to those who walk through the ones already unlocked. You keep asking God to open a door, and He keeps asking why you've been standing in front of the one He already opened, refusing to walk through it because it looked scary, or unfamiliar, or unpolished. You want signs, but He wants surrender. You want clarity, but He wants commitment. You want comfort, but He wants crucifixion, the kind that kills your pride, your timelines, your control. Michael has been assigned to shield you, but he cannot obey for you. That's your responsibility. You must return to the fire. Return to the altar of obedience. Fall on your face and say, God, I repent for looking away. I repent for delaying. I repent for waiting for perfect conditions when your voice alone was enough. And when you do, when your spirit finally aligns, the power you've been searching for will come like a flood. The clarity you've begged for will flow like rivers. The heaviness you've carried will lift like fog in morning sun. Because obedience breaks things open. Obedience is the sound that activates the angelic. It is the frequency of the kingdom. And your obedience, even if small, will unlock things you could never strategize your way into. You've been looking away for too long. It's time to look again. Listen again. Woo again. Heaven is watching. I'm middigning. The archangel is crying. And the gate is still open, but not for long. Type I obey now in the comments if you're done looking away. Lesson code 444 is restoring lost time to you. Time is running out. Not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. Heaven's clock is not governed by your calendar. It does not wait for your convenience. It does not slow down for your fears. It does not pause because you are uncertain. It is moving, swiftly, strategically, and if you do not move with it, you will be left praying for a breakthrough in a place where God has already moved on. Michael is shouting now. The same archangel who once declared war over empires is now sounding a final trumpet in the spirit. This is not poetic language, it is the vibration of divine urgency. His voice is ringing out across the gates of the earth, and what he is saying is simple. You are almost out of time. You have felt it. The restlessness, the pressure, the sudden shifts that you couldn't explain. It's static warfare. The emotional agitation. That wasn't random. That was a signal, a disruption in the natural to alert you that something eternal is at stake. And still, many keep walking as if tomorrow is promised, as if the window of grace is endless, as if disobedience carries no consequence. But heaven is sounding the alarm because this moment, this very moment, is a spiritual junction, a divine crossing, a place where timelines collide. If you miss this shift, you won't just miss a blessing, you will forfeit alignment. And when alignment is lost, even good things become burdens. Even open doors become prisons. Even relationships become traps. Even ministry becomes dry. The Lord, in His mercy, is speaking through Michael, not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Because heaven does not send warnings without purpose. A warning is not punishment. A warning is love in its most urgent form. You've played with time. You've told yourself, I'll start next week. You've said, I'll pray more when things settle down. You've whispered, I'll obey once I feel ready. But time doesn't wait for feelings. Time doesn't wait for convenience. Time moves with the voice of God, and it's moving right now, fast, like wind over wheat fields. And Michael's cry is not about what you've done wrong. His cry is about what heaven still wants to do through you, if you will just say yes before the hour strikes closed. Because there is a cutoff point. There is a moment when grace lifts. There is a moment when the door shuts, like the ark in Noah's day, not out of cruelty, but out of divine justice. When the rains come, it is too late to build. When judgment strikes, it is too late to prepare. And God has been whispering, calling, pleading through dreams, through signs, through strangers, through scripture, and now, through this message. You are out of time for delay, out of time for excuses, out of time for double-mindedness. You think you have next month. You think you have next season. But you don't see what heaven sees. You don't know what's about to break loose. You don't know the demonic plans that have been plotted against your bloodline, plans that only your obedience can interrupt. You don't know the firestorm being held back by one act of surrender. Michael sees it all. He's not just crying over you. He's crying over what is coming and how unprepared the people are. He sees the spiritual famine about to hit those who refuse to eat from the word now. He sees the shaking that will expose every foundation not built on the rock. He sees the traps being set for leaders who will not purify their motives. He sees the exposure about to tear through the church like a sword, not to destroy it, but to cleanse it. He sees the hourglass emptying, grain by grain. And as one who has stood in God's throne room, as one who knows the sound of final decrees, as one who is dispatched only in the most serious of hours, he is crying. Crying not because you are unloved, but because you have been unmoved. How many more confirmations do you need? How many more dreams? How many more closed doors? How many more tears? How many more near breakdowns? You are not unlucky. You are being warned. You are not stuck. You are being summoned. You are not lost. You are being redirected. But this is the last round of nudging before the season flips. And once the clock strikes, the opportunity will not return in the same way. God is not obligated to repeat himself. He is not required to reopen what you refused. Michael is not whispering anymore. He is roaring. And his roar is calling the chosen out of delay. This is not about fear. This is about fulfillment. This is not about panic. This is about purpose. This is not about control. This is about kingdom. And the kingdom is moving on. The question is, will you move with it? Will you obey before the cost rises? Will you surrender before you're broken? Will you say yes before your silence becomes sin? Heaven's final warning is not a threat. It is a lifeline. Grab it. Cling to it. Respond to it. Now. Type "I will not miss my moment" in the comments if you hear this warning. Blessing code 911 is now surrounding your family and future. Why does heaven keep repeating itself? Why does the same message keep finding its way back to you? In dreams, in numbers, in confirmations, in whispers you can't shake. Why does it seem like the same warning, the same prompting, the same spiritual tug won't leave you alone, no matter how far you try to run from it? Because heaven is urgent, and urgent love repeats itself when silence would be fatal. Archangel Michael doesn't cry without reason. He doesn't beg for attention because he lacks power. He is heaven's chief warrior, heaven's sword bearer, heaven's enforcer of divine timing. And when he cries, is not for drama. It is because time is thin. The veil is thinning, and too many of God's children are still treating holy instructions like suggestions. So, why does God keep saying the same thing over and over? Because you haven't fully listened. You've acknowledged the message, but you haven't obeyed it. You've been convicted by the word, but you haven't changed your direction. You've heard the warnings, but you've diluted them with distractions, emotions, logic, and fear. You've spiritualized delay by calling it discernment. You've pacified conviction by labeling it timing. But God knows the truth. Your heart has heard, but your will has resisted. And still he repeats himself. Still he speaks again. Still he sends Michael again. Because mercy always warns before judgment arrives. He repeats himself not to annoy you, but to save you. He repeats himself not because he's forgotten what he said, but because you have. Every repeated instruction is a second chance. Every recurring message is a rescue mission. And the fact that you're hearing this now, again, is proof that heaven is still reaching for you, even in your reluctance. But repetition is not forever. There comes a time when God stops repeating himself, not out of anger, but because the window for that word has closed. Not because he loves you less, but because the assignment has moved forward, and your delay wrote you out of the movement. And that is what Michael is trying to prevent. Heaven's urgency is not rooted in panic. It is rooted in purpose. You were not created for survival. You were not designed just to exist. You were born to carry something eternal. A word, a fire, a movement, a mantle. But mantles cannot rest on the disobedient. And if you do not respond, the mantle will still fall, but on someone else. That's why the message keeps coming. It's not random. It's not repetitive for the sake of drama. It's because this is the season where response determines reward. Michael keeps circling. His cry is intensifying. The message is echoing louder. Why? Because the Spirit is trying to break through the noise. You keep asking, why do I keep hearing the same thing? Because heaven refuses to go silent while your destiny hangs in the balance. You keep asking, why won't this burden leave me? Because God knows that if he lifts it now, you will never move. So he lets the weight sit heavy on your chest, not to crush you, but to stir you. He's repeating himself, not because he is slow, but because you are chosen. And the chosen get chased. The chosen get warned over and over again. The chosen get disciplined, corrected, and shaken when they drift. The chosen don't get to run too far without divine intervention. That's why you keep hearing the same scripture. That's why the same word keeps showing up in your timeline. That's why the same prophetic phrase keeps repeating in your dreams. That's why strangers have spoken the same thing to you, unknowingly echoing the voice of heaven. Because Michael is working in the margins of your life, pressing, nudging, moving puzzle pieces around so that God's voice hits you from every angle. Not to haunt you, but to awaken you. This is how urgent love behaves. Urgent love sends the word again, and again, and again, until you break, until you surrender, until your pride collapses and your obedience rises. Michael is crying, and he's crying for this reason. God shouldn't have to repeat himself this many times to someone he's invested so much into. You are not ordinary. You are not replaceable. You are not random. And that's exactly why heaven won't stop speaking to you. But soon, if you don't respond, the voice will stop. Not because he loves you less, but because love, real love, honors free will. This is the last echo, the final reminder, the repetition before release, either into destiny or into delay. Respond while the voice is still speaking. Move while the prompting still burns. Obey while the tears of heaven still fall. Because the cry of the Archangel is not just for your ears, it is for your soul. He's crying because your name still echoes in the throne room. He is crying because the heavens still carry blueprints with your fingerprints on them. He is crying because there is still time, but not much. So let heaven's repetition break you out of rebellion. Let his repeating word melt the walls around your heart. Let the urgency of God's love burn everything that's been holding you back. This is your final chance to respond before the echo becomes silence. If this message resonates with your spirit and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of $5. Your support helps us bring more powerful prophetic content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next prophetic release. We share urgent messages, divine insight, and spiritual warnings for those who are ready to walk in alignment. Type "I hear heaven" in the comments if this word was for you. Blessing code 1221 is now unlocking divine memory and clarity in your life. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere. They are not just watching the world, they are watching you. Not in judgment, not in anger, but in truth. Deep, pure, holy truth. He sees what no one else sees. He sees beneath the version of you that you show the world. He sees beneath the filters, beneath the polite prayers, beneath the ministry, beneath the mask. He sees the struggle you try to hide. He sees the questions you're too afraid to ask. He sees the hesitation buried in your heart. And still, he loves you. But now, child of glory, he is not only watching, he is waiting. The God whose gaze formed galaxies is now staring at your life with divine intensity. Not to punish, but to weigh. Not to shame, but to separate. And in this hour, his eyes are not only kind, they are holy. His stare is not just gentle, it is penetrative. It burns away pretense. It dissects motives. It exposes idols. He sees everything. He sees the moment you almost said yes but didn't. He sees the instruction you half obeyed. He sees the prayers you speak out loud, and the fears you whisper when no one is around. He sees how you cry out for breakthrough but resist the obedience it requires. He sees the warfare you blame on the devil, when much of it is a consequence of your own delay. And yet, he doesn't look away. Others would have walked away by now. Others would have given up on you. But his eyes remain fixed, because you are not just a person, you are a prophecy. Your very existence is a fulfillment of something spoken in heaven long before you ever took your first breath. You were not random. You were not a mistake. You were sent. And the one who sent you is watching closely, not as a harsh judge, but as a faithful father. He has watched every battle you survived. He has counted every tear you cried. He has recorded every betrayal, every rejection, every silent scream in the middle of the night. He has not missed one moment, not one. But now, his eyes are searching for something deeper. He is not just watching your pain, he is watching your posture. Because pain does not qualify you for breakthrough. Posture does. Obedience releases what we beg for in prayer. Surrender carries what giftedness alone never will. The eyes of the Lord are roaming the earth, looking for those who are ready to carry fire. Looking for those who won't just say yes in a moment of emotion, but will say yes and live it when no one is watching. He sees you, yes, but what does he see? Does he see a heart still split between two kingdoms? Does he see a mind still bound by fear and excuses? Does he see someone who wants the promise but not the process? Or does he see someone ready? Someone tired of cycles? Someone done with compromise? Someone desperate for something real, something holy, something eternal? He is watching, not from afar but up close. His eyes are upon your life like a spotlight from eternity. He's not observing to criticize, he's observing to select. This is the season of divine selection, but he will not select what will not submit. There are mantles hovering in the atmosphere, waiting to fall on someone who is postured, yielded, empty. There are assignments waiting to land, but they are looking for someone willing to be overlooked by man and approved by God. You have been asking for more anointing, more clarity, more confirmation. But heaven has been waiting to see, can you be trusted with what he already showed you? Can you carry the burden he gave you in private? Can you walk in obedience when it's not celebrated? Can you still obey even when the crowd thins, the support fades, and the doors close? Because the eyes of the Lord are not looking for noise, they are looking for weight. The weight of surrender, the weight of character, the weight of consecration. Michael sees it too. He stands beside the throne, watching as the scrolls are opened, as the names are read, as the assignments are released. He knows who is ready. He knows who is hiding. He knows who has ignored the voice. And when he cries, he is crying because heaven is watching so many chosen ones drift into spiritual sleep even as they ask for revival. Heaven is watching. God is looking. And not everyone will be found ready. But you still have a chance to shift. You still have a moment to rise. You still have a window to say, God, don't just see me, search me. Burn away what's blocking you. Break what's resisting you. I surrender fully, finally, completely. This is not a time to play games with God. Not a time to fake fire. Not a time to assume that grace means permission to remain stagnant. This is the hour to remember. His eyes are on you, not just for correction, but for commissioning. Heaven is looking for someone to send. Will he find you ready? Type "Search me, Lord" in the comments if you know his eyes are on you. Blessing code 7070 is opening divine windows of discernment over your life. You may have wandered. You may have waited too long. You may have looked away when you should have leaned in. But hear this with clarity. The assignment is still yours. Heaven has not reassigned what you were born to carry. The throne has not revoked your scroll. The Father has not erased your name from the page of prophecy. Despite your delay, despite your denial, despite your disobedience, you are still chosen. There is something heaven placed within you before time began, a divine appointment wrapped in fire, forged in glory, sealed with your name. And though you've questioned if you've missed it, though you've believed the lie that it passed you by, though the weight of shame and delay has made you feel disqualified, heaven's voice thunders now. Reclaim what was yours from the start. Because you didn't choose the calling chose you. You didn't stumble into destiny. You were sent here with it written on your soul. And no amount of darkness can cancel what was authored in light. Not the sin, not the failures, not the years wasted in silence, not the people who walk away, not the mistakes that broke your heart, not the seasons where you didn't feel spiritual enough, holy enough, brave enough, strong enough. What was written over your life was not written in pencil. It was written in blood. And the blood speaks louder than your shame. The blood speaks louder than your delay. The blood of Jesus is still declaring, this one is still mine. This one still has purpose. This one still has an assignment. You don't need another prophecy. You don't need another confirmation. You don't need another sign. You need to remember. You need to reclaim. The enemy has been hoping you'd forget. He's been whispering lies, that it's too late, that you've missed too much, that others have replaced you, that your mistakes have rewritten heaven's plan. But heaven says no. Heaven says what God gave you cannot be stolen, only surrendered. And since you haven't surrendered it, since you're still breathing, since you're still hearing this message, that means one thing: the assignment still belongs to you. It's time to reclaim it. Reclaim your voice. Reclaim your posture in prayer. Reclaim your boldness. Reclaim the promise. Reclaim your altar. Reclaim the authority you laid down when life got hard. Reclaim the purity you abandoned under pressure. Reclaim the dreams you buried under disappointment. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not left out. You're just in recovery. And recovery always precedes revelation. The Spirit of the Lord is hovering over your life now, and He's not coming with a new assignment. He's coming to resurrect the original one. The first word, the first instruction, the first promise, the first mantle, the one you got excited about before life tried to crush your faith. He's coming to remind you that your name was known in heaven before it was spoken on earth. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not the echo of your failures. You are the answer to a divine dilemma in the earth. There is something in you that hell fears, that heaven needs, that creation groans for. But the assignment will not activate without alignment. It's time to step back into agreement with heaven. You don't need perfection. You need posture. You don't need a stage. You need surrender. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to say yes. Because God is not asking you to be the most talented, the most polished, the most followed. He is asking for your yes. The same yes you gave in the secret place years ago. The yes you whispered through tears. The yes that made no sense to your friends. The yes that scared you. The yes that carried oil. You're not hearing this by coincidence. You're hearing it because Michael is standing again. Sword drawn, eyes blazing, tears falling, crying out one more time, pick it back up. Reclaim what you drop. The kingdom still needs what you carry. The earth is still waiting on your sound. The oil is still flowing. The altar is still open. The window is still unlocked. Reclaim it now. Heaven is not holding your past against you. Heaven is holding your future in front of you. But only you can reach for it. Only you can reclaim what's yours. Only you can say, I will no longer live beneath my calling. I will no longer walk outside my purpose. I will no longer sit in silence when I was born to declare, to prophesy, to build, to restore, to shift atmospheres. This is not just about being forgiven. This is about being reactivated. This is not about survival. This is about assignment. This is not about getting back to where you were. It's about stepping into who you were always meant to become. The angels are watching. Michael is weeping. The Spirit is stirring. And heaven is waiting for your answer. Don't just receive this word. Respond to it. Don't just feel convicted. Move. Don't just agree in emotion, line in action. Because the assignment is not gone. The call is not revoked. The oil is not empty. It's yours. It's still yours. Type I reclaim my assignment in the comments if this was for you. Blessing code 2121 is restoring your inheritance in full. Your response matters. Yes, your response. Not your neighbors. Not your pastors. Not the people you follow online. Yours. Because heaven doesn't move according to crowds. Heaven responds to covenant. And covenant is not made with emotion. It is made with decisions. It is made with yes. God has spoken. The signs have increased. Michael has cried. The urgency has built. The warning has gone out. And now the weight of response rests fully in your hands. What you do with this moment will determine what heaven does with your next season. What you say now, not next week, not when you feel ready, now, will determine the alignment or the delay of the assignment. This is the tipping point. This is the moment in the story where the scroll opens, the angel watches, and the spirit leans in, waiting, hovering, pausing for one thing, your yes. Not a passive yes, not a maybe later, not a hesitant agreement that evaporates when life gets hard. No, this moment demands a violent yes, a complete yes, a burn the bridge behind me yes, a no turning back yes. I'll obey even if it costs me everything yes, because partial obedience is still disobedience. And God is not asking for pieces of you anymore. He wants it all. He wants the dreams, the fears, the timelines, the control. He wants the plan B, the backup option, the safety net. He wants it all laid on the altar, without negotiation, without delay. And yes, it's terrifying. Yes, it might cost you people. Yes, it might require sacrifice. But heaven's cry is louder than your fear. And the cry is this: you must say yes now. Not later. Not after you fix yourself. Not once it all makes sense. The instruction won't wait for your comfort. The fire won't wait for your feelings. The gate won't stay open forever. Heaven's windows are on a timer. And your yes, your real, trembling, full body surrender, is the key. Archangel Michael is not standing still. He is pacing in the heavenlies, sword burning, eyes fierce, heart breaking, because he sees how close you are. He sees what's waiting on the other side of your obedience. He sees the lives that will be touched, the breakthroughs that will be released, the demonic cycles that will be shattered, if you just say yes. You think your yes only affects you. Your own. Your yes will set other people free. Your yes will birth movements. Your yes will break chains you don't even know are wrapped around your bloodline. Your yes will open doors for generations you'll never meet. Your yes will unleash the assignment that heaven has been holding in place, waiting for your agreement. Because everything God does on earth requires human agreement. He will not override your will. He will not force himself. He will not manipulate you. He gives you the dignity of choice, but that choice carries eternal weight. You can choose delay. You can choose comfort. You can choose safety. But if you do, you forfeit more than convenience. You forfeit alignment. And what is birthed in misalignment becomes a burden instead of a blessing. So the voice of the Lord comes one more time, and Michael stands beside it, and the Spirit breathes under it, and heaven watches over it, waiting for your response. Because this is not just another word, this is your word. This is the kind of moment that rewrites the atmosphere around your life. This is the kind of yes that reroutes everything. This is the kind of surrender that breaks open a level of glory that you were born to carry. Don't wait until you're broken to say yes. Don't wait until the opportunity passes. Don't wait until the shaking comes. Say yes while the mercy is still flowing. Say yes while the oil is still fresh. Say yes while the angels are still holding back what was meant to come against you. Heaven has waited long enough. And this time, the scroll is moving. The chapter is turning. The trumpet is sounding. And your yes is not optional anymore. It is required. Because you're not just being called. You're being summoned. And to refuse a summons from the throne is to risk everything. So stand up in your spirit. Fall on your face in your soul. Tear your pride, rip the timelines, destroy the idols, and release your grip. And say yes. Say yes like you mean it. Say yes like it's the only thing left. Say yes like your future depends on it. Because it does. If this message speaks to you, and you've been blessed, consider supporting us with a super thanks. Gifts of $20 go a long way in helping us bring more content just like this. Your support means everything. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more powerful, heaven-aligned messages like this one. We release prophetic words, spiritual guidance, and kingdom insight that will keep you sharp and surrendered. Type yes, Lord, in the comments if this is your moment of surrender. Blessing code 5555 is now activating breakthrough over every delayed promise. This is it. The final cry. The last tear. The final plea from heaven before the silence comes. Michael's voice, once restrained by divine order, has now reached its highest volume. His tears have fallen like fire across the pages of destiny. His sword has carved paths for the chosen, fought back demonic schemes for the faithful, and pierced the darkness around your life again and again. But now he is quieting. Now the cry is fading. Because time has been stretched. Mercy has been extended. Instructions have been repeated. And still, many look away. Still many delay. Still, many are asking for more signs while ignoring the ones already given. Still, the altars remain empty. Still, the Spirit waits uninvited. Still, heaven's final call is treated as optional. And Michael, heaven's mightiest warrior, stands at the edge of eternity with tears in his eyes, not because he lacks strength, but because he knows what's coming if the cry is ignored. He knows what silence means. You see, when the cry of heaven stops, judgment doesn't fall immediately, dissection does. Heaven goes silent and the heart grows numb. Not all at once, but slowly. Tragically. Fatally. You begin to lose sensitivity to his voice. You stop feeling the weight of conviction. You start believing that delay is still safe. That disobedience is manageable. That neutrality is acceptable. But it's not. Michael knows. He's watched this cycle unfold across generations, across kingdoms, across chosen lives. Those who had a moment to respond, a window, an altar, a fire, but didn't. Those who heard the cry but refused to be moved. Those who clung to what was familiar instead of stepping into what was eternal. And now he cries, one final time, for you. Because your time is not unlimited. Your destiny is not on repeat. Your moment is not guaranteed. This cry, this message, this voice from heaven may not come again. This is not fear-mongering. This is not spiritual pressure. This is truth. Holy truth. Sacred warning. Divine love in its most raw form. Because heaven doesn't beg forever. The Spirit doesn't shout forever. Angels don't war indefinitely. There comes a time when the sword returns to its sheath. When the trumpet stops sounding. when the window closes, when the silence falls, and that silence isn't peace, it's absence. You do not want to live in a place where heaven no longer pursues. You do not want to walk into a season where angels no longer warn. You do not want to wake up and realize the grace that once knocked loudly has now stepped back. So Michael cries now, louder than ever before. Not for himself, not for heaven's sake, but for yours. He is not crying because he's powerless. He is crying because you are. He is crying because you are one yes away from breakthrough, but you keep waiting. He is crying because everything heaven promised is still within reach, but you won't stretch for it. He is crying because the Father still calls you mine, but you still choose delay. He is crying because the fire is still burning, but you keep standing at a distance, content to watch but unwilling to step into the flame. He is crying because this is it. This is the moment when heaven watches to see if earth will respond. This is the crossroads where history is made, not by nations, not by governments, but by one surrendered soul who dares to say, Lord, whatever it costs, I'm yours. Will that soul be you? Will your voice rise now, before his goes quiet? Will your obedience rise now, before the door closes? Will your prayer rise now, not out of fear but out of faith? Heaven is still reaching. The Spirit is still hovering. Michael is still weeping. But the cry is fading. This is your final chance to respond before the silence settles in. And once it settles, the next sound will not be a whisper. It will be a shaking. And you will either be found in alignment or in regret. But today, mercy still knocks. Today, the Archangel still cries. Today, the heavens still echo your name. And you still have time, but only if you act now. Fall to your knees. Lift your voice. Repent if you must. Obey what he last told you. Release what you've been clinging to. Pick up what you laid down. Run back to the altar and pour your life out like oil. Let this be your legacy, not that you heard the cry, but that you answered it. Because Michael will not cry again. This was the final plea. Heaven is watching. The scrolls are ready. The sword is lifted. And the silence is coming. But you still have breath. And breath is proof of mercy. Use it. Respond now. Say yes. Move. Before the silence falls. Type I respond now in the comments if you hear this final cry. Letting code 0000 is sealing this moment into your destiny.